Jack and Mel weigh in.
Back to Jack and Mel Super Rad MMA Show, a Polka Media production. As always, I'm joined by my brother, Mel Brown. How you keeping, player?
I'm good. I've just about recovered from the UFC hangover.
So, Edwards and Woodley is confirmed in
Great
London
fight.
for March. Is this finally the UFC starting to perhaps redeem itself from the Aldo Cejudo shit show and the Romero Adesanya arguable title shot? Are we finally going to start to see fights like this, or is this the exception?
This fight's entirely logical.
Yes, it is. That's what upsets me.
Yeah,
I'm like, what are you up to?
Yeah,
UFC, what are you up to?
Illogical booking. It is a great fight, and it's a big fight for the UK market. I think they're really hoping Edwards has a big breakout performance. I mean, if you beat Woodley, you absolutely deserve title fight. Like, I mean, you could already argue he deserves a title fight.
I think it comes down to whether Woodley is done or not.
Yeah,
like, and not physically,
Usman, but he did not look.
He didn't show up.
Yeah, he just looked. I don't know, it was a very strange fight.
The whole fight was odd.
Yeah, he's focusing on that rap career. Oof.
Oh, good grief!
It is.
It's shockingly bad.
Shockingly bad.
Shocking. Like, I
have a feeling Edwards will, and I haven't seen the betting odds, but I would assume Woodley will be the favourite.
You would think so.
I think Edwards will pull an upset.
Just decisions him.
Yep, I think 5 rounds at kickboxing range, just being more mobile. But the thing is, I was saying, I can't remember who too on Twitter, like Woodley just has that great equalizer in the overhand right. It's hard to see either of them taking each other down. Now, obviously, on paper, Woodley obviously has the better wrestling credentials. But in MMA and with physicality, it's hard to imagine Woodley just being able to take Edwards down whenever he wants.
I don't know.
Plus, I'm not going to say he's abandoned his wrestling, but he's definitely more striking heavy than he used to be.
Funny, I think I know why that is. I was listening to the Michael Bisping Believe You Me podcast yesterday, and they were talking about how wrestlers fall in love with their hands, not because it's fun, but because they're like, this is so much less tiring.
Yeah.
And I wonder with Woodley, did it start initially with circle, and throw a little bit? And obviously
because everyone sort of thought, especially in a Strikeforce days, that he was a decision machine, and then he came to the UFC and he absolutely iced
people.
Josh Koscheck.
Yep, and then Lawler he iced.
He battered Wonderboy, dropped him a few times, and then obviously Till. I don't know. I just have a feeling that is the hunger still there for Woodley, because it certainly is there for Edwards. And I hate that I've seen people being like, it's a hometown fight. Birmingham and London are two very different places.
They are.
It's not a hometown fight. It's a home country fight. But I think, it could be a big UK breakout. Because, they were hoping that with Till, and then obviously the Masvidal fight didn't go that way.
Yeah, well, we were there for that.
Yeah. The UK just doesn't have a big star at the minute. Like, I mean, you could argue that Till, Till kind of is, but I think the public perception of Till has sort of eased up after the Masvidal fight.
Yep.
There's definitely, especially when he was fighting Wonderboy, there was lots of buzz just around the UK in general about Till and about him afterwards. And I think just because of how the Woodley fight went and the Masvidal fight, that people aren't, the more casual fans aren't really paying attention to him as much anymore.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because he obviously just beat Kelvin Gastelum and he's right in the title picture at middleweight, but needs a big performance or two. Edwards has a great record, and you couldn't not give him a title. Well, when I say things like you could not give him a title fight, they absolutely can
and probably would.
Yeah, can and probably wouldn't. He's just, if Leon Edwards was blessed with a deeper voice, he'd be a superstar.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Woodley has lost a lot of fanfare. He certainly lost me for a while. I was a huge Woodley fan, but I just kind of got sick of the excuses. I've never ever bought the narrative he's scared to fight. I hated seeing people post that. It's a load of shit. But just this thing like, I'm not fighting outside of the US, blah blah blah.
I like that.
No, I don't. And here's why. No, because you lose that when you don't have the belt.
We've argued about this before, but he's independent contractor.
Yeah, but you
doesn't have to take
he does, because, and here's why. I'm not saying like he has to, as in like, if the UFC say you do it. What I mean is, if you want that belt back, you'll fight anyone, anywhere.
Nah.
As long as you get the same money. And here's my problem with what he did when it comes to this fight. Granted, respect, he signed it.
That mentality exists or works or is particularly smart.
But here's my problem. Why should Edwards?
Because he manages his career better.
Why should Edwards have to bend over and go to Woodley?
Because Woodley's the higher ranked guy. Woodley's the former champion.
But
Woodley has everything Edwards wants. Why should Woodley have to step down, go to Edwards' country, fight away from home, fight away from his family, to fight a guy ranked lower than him?
Because he is the next in line, essentially. And if you want that shot back, that's exactly my point.
But that's what I'm saying. But we can't complain because Woodley is doing it.
Yeah, but no. That's what I'm saying. As I just said, that I said respect for Woodley for actually signing. But what I'm saying is that the whole thing in the build-up was like, this is why he's lost fanfare. He bitched and moaned about it, and then he just did it. That's like, well, what the fuck? Like, what's your problem then? And on top of that,
it's probably just a negotiating tactic.
It could be, but there's constantly something. He never just signs a fight. Like, you never just hear Tyron Woodley fight announced. All you hear is him bitching. Like, what was his thing about playing the black card was his big thing for a long time, and he sort of lost me a bit, and then he won me back again by sort of calming down again. And I just can't go through this every single time there's a Woodley fight. There's just always something where he's shittily trying to get his name back into the circulation, but he never goes about it the right way, and he goes about it in a way that isn't conducive to gaining or garnering fan respect. And I'm not the only person that feels like this. I still respect him immensely as a fighter, and at one case, and maybe still to an extent, you could have made no, you can't, but you could have made the case that he was on track to be the greatest welterweight of all time. You can't now, but you could have. There was a period where he was on track to do that.
He is one of the greatest.
Definitely. But this is my point, is that to fall from that to that, how can you be nearly the greatest welterweight of all time and people still hate the way you get on? Everything
because that's outside of the cage stuff to me. I think to be measured as how good a fighter he was.
Oh no, but you're not.
Your body work is literally what you do.
But you're not measuring it against that. It just, of course, plays into the popularity. And I think that his case would be strengthened if he were more popular. Although it shouldn't be. I don't judge. I judge your record and your performances when I'm thinking about greatest of all time or how good a fighter actually is. But in terms of popularity, it's definitely damaged him the way he's got on about a whole number of things. Sure, the UFC was out to get him and this and that and the other. And the bottom line is,
some of it, my problem with it is that there's merit in some of it, so I can't
sort of
brush it all off.
No, but
I think he stood up to trying to be strong armed into several fights, which he what he wasn't physically ready for. I think there was a lot of issues with, I think it's his hands, isn't it?
Yeah, or his wrists, isn't it?
Something
like arthritis or something.
And he did have a bunch of injuries, and I think the UFC were trying to, like I said, strong arm him into taking fights, and he just wasn't doing it because he wasn't ready. And then that sort of made him bitter or whatever. And then I agree that some of the complaints seem very trivial, but I can't just broad stroke everything.
No, but I'm not. But you can. Well, I'm not broad stroking everything. Like I've never ever said he should fight because he's got injuries. I would never.
But I think the UFC pushed the narrative that he's a bit of a crybaby.
I never said that, but he is.
No, I'm saying that. I think that's exactly what they did. I think, despite him being a great fighter, he didn't just toe the company line with certain things, and I think the UFC weren't too upset when he lost the belt.
No, I think they were happy about that. But
I think they had a lot to do in setting the narrative of or talking about his character, and Dana and the usual PR machine behind it.
Fair enough. Well, we will obviously have a breakdown of that fight closer to the time.